Hey, peace, peace. Happy Friday, everybody. It's the Friday edition of Burn It Down with Kim Brown. This is the safe space where we set oppression ablaze, figuratively and literally. And we have got a lot of oppression to get to today, including patriarchy, including ableism, including capitalism and its ravages making itself very apparent and plain in Southern California with the wildfires. We're going to get to all of that on tonight's program. I'd like to welcome Fire Fam and visitors to the show. Hold on, I'm trying to turn on my monitor. But anyway, fuck it. But I appreciate you guys being here, joining me today. Come on in, come on in. Please like the video on your way in. Subscribe to Burn It Down with Kim Brown. Coming up on the docket, later in the program, you may have seen this viral video making the rounds this week involving a church scene, a Black church scene, where a pregnant teen comes up in front of the church and apologizes for being pregnant. A humiliation that certainly a person finding themselves in the precarious position of being pregnant, period, should not be subjected to. But what has drawn the ire of the internet is the deeply hypocritical and patriarchal way in which this young woman was spoken to by her pastor, in this case, the bishop in this Virginia church. Well, the community is responding. I got some clips showing how the folks in Hampton, Virginia, intend to protest this particular church for the treatment of this pregnant young girl. We'll get to that later on the program. Plus, I have a handful of stories pertaining to ableism, everybody. And fortunately, in each of these stories about ableism, everyone survives. But to me, these stories, while maybe innocuous on their face, just are a continuing reminder of, number one, how deeply ingrained ableism, like all the other isms, racism, sexism, homophobia, all these other isms are deeply baked into our society. They are systemic. And why is it that regular folks, other working class, perhaps other marginalized folks, feel the need to be ableist and discriminatory against those that are disabled when they're just seeking regular fucking services like food or shelter or an assortment of regular everyday things that are a challenge for disabled folks to access. But we're going to start off in Southern California. The fires surrounding Los Angeles are being reported as the most devastating that the state has ever seen. Tens of thousands of people, 80,000, I think, is the number of folks that have had to been evacuated from their homes. Some of the places that have been touched include the very affluent and famous Pacific Palisades neighborhood. But I did not know that Altadena, am I saying that correctly? Altadena, California has a historical Black population of Black homeowners and a thriving community there that has also been impacted. So, what I want us to do is a couple of things. Shout out to the folks checking in. I see we got some members checking in. Shout out to all the Fire Fam members. Let's take a look at some of the damage. All of these are pictures that I'm sure you've seen, but it is still very stark to witness it. So, Will, let's go ahead with that helicopter footage, I believe, shot by one of the network affiliates there in Los Angeles.
You're seeing this moments after I saw it. The clouds just cleared, and I can tell you this is the most devastating event that I've seen. I've seen the earthquakes, all the fires here over the last 30 or 40 years, and we've never seen anything like this. This is Pacific Palisades, and the fire went through here, and it just took out thousands of homes all the way down to the shoreline. I mean, to describe it, really, it looks like a war zone. Now, the winds have died down a little bit right now, so they can make some progress, and as I mentioned, the smoke just cleared. This is the first time we were able to get in here and see the destruction. That's the village in Pacific Palisades. But as you can see, row after row after row, every single home burned right down to the foundation. Fortunately, this fire, we're not hearing about any fatalities. The other fire out in Altadena and Pasadena, we've had at least 5 people killed in that one. Fortunately, everyone got out of this, but look at the devastation. I mean, it's unbelievable. It's hard to describe how bad this is.
People that have been covering natural disasters in California remain in shock and disbelief at the level of damage caused by these latest spate of wildfires. And I believe the number of those killed has been updated to 10 total. In Pacific Palisades, I think the number of destroyed structures I've heard is 10,000. And guys, you know, on Thursday's Remix Morning Show on Black Liberation Media, I said something that stuck with myself for like the past day or so, because I was really trying to turn it over in my head and figure out why the fuck do I feel this way. You know, trust me, don't get me wrong. I have deep empathy and compassion for anybody that lost their home and lost all of their shit. That's devastating. But when I look at that affluent neighborhood of Pacific Palisades, again, I felt that I was empathetic to a point, and I had to figure. I'm like, why am I really that fucked up? No. I figured out what it was. What it was is for folks that have the resources to live in such an exclusive place. My guess is there's a significant percentage of those folks that likely have other homes, right? That's likely not their only home. And again, that's not a generalized blanket statement to all residents of Pacific Palisades. But when they list off the number of celebrities and other well-to-do folks, I'm like, oh, these people got other houses to go to, right? Somewhere, some way, they got another place to lay their head, right? Sure, they had to evacuate and run for their lives, and I hate to see anybody in that position. But when we contrast, for one, there's a couple of things. When we contrast the level of destruction that we see in the Southern California, those pictures overhead that the helicopter just showed remind me very much of Gaza, right? They remind me of the destruction that has been going on against the Palestinian people for over a year and a half now, right? 90% of Gaza structures have been bombed to shit, right? Looking very much like Southern California, which in my mind, these are two different man-made disasters. What happened in Gaza is an intentional genocide being fueled by American and UK armaments and artillery. But what happened and what's going on right now in Los Angeles area with these wildfires are also a man-made incident, fueled in part by climate change, fueled in part by incompetency at the leadership level, at the government level. Also, it possibly fueled by actual people, by actual men. There has been some reports, though I'm not 100% they've been confirmed, that at least 2 people have been taken into custody under suspicion of arson, of possibly starting some or one of these fires. Apparently, residents of the Woodland Hills neighborhood were able to apprehend and, you know, hold a person who was allegedly, don't quote me on this because I haven't been able to confirm some of this. I've heard reports here and there, but nothing official from police. But apparently one of these people was reported to have been in possession of a blowtorch. And to be clear, it's not beyond the stretch of the imagination that wildfires would be intentionally set. A lot of them have been intentionally set by fucking demonic weirdos is the only thing I can come up with. I know there was a fire in the latter part of 2024 where a man was filmed. Someone shot him on video with a vehicle that he had set on fire, and he had rolled down into a canyon in order to start a wildfire. And that person is currently facing charges. But again, it's not beyond the scope of the imagination that a wildfire could be intentionally set by a person. Okay. But usually by a very specific demographic, but we will not, they that shall not be named, they know who they are. And it's not all the theys that we have present, but they know who they are, the theys that are more likely to start wildfires. So you have this man-made catastrophe that is reminiscent of the destruction that it has been occurring under U.S. direction in Gaza. But in California, the folks are very upset, obviously, at the loss of property and life. And they're taking it out on some of the elected officials, including Mayor Karen Bass. Now, Karen Bass, former congressperson, now mayor of Los Angeles. I don't know how popular Karen Bass is. She doesn't sound all that popular. But Karen Bass is a Democrat, and by extension, she is pro police, she is pro public safety. But for reasons, y'all, public safety in the American perspective is law enforcement. Public safety does not fall under the umbrella of emergency response. Not usually. When we're talking about funding public safety, when we're looking at cities and states' budget priorities, when they talk about public safety, they're talking about the cops. They are not talking about EMS. They are not talking about the firefighters. They're talking about funding the police. They certainly not talking about universal health care or anything that could actually assist public safety, right? But no. And Karen Bass, in their budget, in the city of Los Angeles budget 2024 from last year, they made cuts to the fire department budget while boosting the budget of the Los Angeles Police Department. So Karen Bass was asked about this. She's been they've been on her neck over these past couple of days. A couple of reasons. Number one, when the fires first kicked off, Mayor Bass was in Ghana. I don't know, doing up January. I don't know what the fuck she was doing in Ghana. I'm assuming it was business related, but maybe not. So people were like, why in the fuck was you all the way over there while your city is over here on fire? But she got asked pointedly about the budget that cut 17 million, I think between 17 and 23 million dollars to the Los Angeles Fire Department, while giving the Los Angeles Police Department a budget increase of over 100 million dollars. Let's go ahead and take a look at that clip.
The budget issue and the slashing, $17 million.
You know, I think if you go back and look at the reductions that were made, there were no reductions that were made that would have impacted the situation that we were dealing with over the last couple of days. And
More
then there was a
firefighters on the
little
front
bit,
line would have
there
not
was a
helped.
little bit of confusion because money was allocated to be distributed later on, which was actually going to support salaries and other parts of the fire department that were distributed a little later. So I think it's most important to understand that we were in tough budgetary times, everybody knew that, but that the impact of our budget really did not impact what we've been going through over the last few days. Again, back to the unprecedented windstorm, wind at such ferocity that we haven't seen in years, is the context in which we were dealing with it. Thank you.
And to let me give her a little bit of latitude here, because she's not wrong about that. The weather conditions were unprecedented, as many meteorologists and even fire officials have admitted, right? When they talk about these hurricane force winds, these winds were gusting 70, 80, 90, 100 miles per hour. Outrageous. Like, you can't even fathom that. The pictures of the fire tornadoes, right? That shit was crazy. 100-foot walls of flames. Absolute insanity. At the same time, hydrants were running dry. The Los Angeles Fire Department has been doing a call out for either retired firefighters to come on out and help fight these fires, or the state of California has went to its go-to for labor as it pertains to fighting fires, and that is incarcerated people. This is a long-standing practice of, I guess, convict leasing, a deplorable practice that has been in favor in America for, I guess, hundreds of years now, ever since the end of slavery and then the re-enslavement of people convicted of crimes. The notion of making prison labor complete menial tasks, or even in this case, life-threatening tasks, public safety acts, and using them and paying them little to fucking nothing to get out there and fight fires, which is again something that y'all girl Kamala Harris very famously or infamously, depending on your perspective, but when she was Attorney General of California and California legalized marijuana for recreational sale, there were a number of people who were locked up for marijuana convictions who were eligible to be released under this new law. And Kamala Harris was like, well, slow down. We don't got to let the prisoners out just yet. I need them to fight fires for me cheaply. I'm paraphrasing, but that's exactly what the fuck she said. That was her sentiment, and that's what the fuck she meant. That's why she lost. It's not why she lost, but I'm not disappointed that she lost, though nobody wins in American presidential politics. I digress. I want us to get really quick, a quick primer from a group called Jesse's Place Organization that does a very good job of quickly breaking down the way that incarcerated labor is used, and the amount, number one, the risk that they are putting, that they are assuming, the prisoners, that is, the risk in their to their own personal life and safety that they assume. I don't even know if they can assume it really, but anyway, the amount that they are paid is really despicable. And I'll let Jesse's Place Organization tell the rest. Go ahead, Will.
400 incarcerated firefighters are battling LA wildfires. Let me explain. According to the California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation, CDCR, 395 incarcerated firefighters from 29 crews have been deployed to help control the spread of wildfires in Los Angeles. The CDCR operates more than 30 fire camps, officially known as conservation camps, where minimum security inmates are trained in firefighting and assist authorities in managing fires, floods, and other disasters. This program isn't new. It dates back to the 1940s. In fact, at times, CDCR crews have made up as much as 30% of the state's wildfire workforce. Incarcerated firefighters earn between $5.80 and $10.24 per day during training and are paid $1 per hour when actively fighting fires. Eligibility for the program requires participants to have 8 years or less remaining on their sentences. However, those with certain convictions such as arson or sexual offenses are disqualified. In a statement, CDCR Secretary Jeff McCumber said how wildfires are a constant and formidable challenge for California, and CDCR conservation fire camps remain dedicated to supporting the state's response. The work of our incarcerated firefighters and staff is an essential part of this effort, and their commitment to protecting lives and property during these emergencies cannot be overstated. Despite their critical role, formerly incarcerated firefighters often face barriers to employment in firefighting after release due to their criminal records. Advocates have raised concerns about the program's low wages, arguing that it relies on exploitative labor practices under the 13th Amendment. While the amendment abolished slavery, it permits involuntary labor for individuals convicted of crimes. Moreover, incarcerated firefighters are 4 times more likely to sustain injuries on the job compared to professional firefighters working the same fires. What are your thoughts on the use of incarcerated firefighters? Should they be paid more or allowed to pursue firefighting careers after release? Let us know in the comments.
I have a comment. It should be both. They absolutely should be paid way more than $1 an hour to fight fucking fires. Outrageous. And they should be given the opportunity to become professional firefighters upon their release. The fact that that's even a barrier, the fact that that's even a roadblock for incarcerated folks who have trained as firefighters and worked as firefighters, the fact that they can't get out of jail and assume a career, a profession, a good paying profession, right, is an abomination. And it's an indicator, further indicator, that people that are incarcerated are set up to fail, no matter how much training and services and assistance that they may receive in jail. If they come out and don't have the ability to earn money for themselves, then they may fall back to criminal behavior, right, in order to live and survive. So it's ridiculous that these incarcerated folks their lives, their physical health is being exploited and used by the state to protect property, private property, public property, but they themselves cannot benefit from those skills and those experiences once they get out of jail. You know, when I'm looking at this whole situation in Southern California, what pops in my head is a number of things. I hear Malcolm X in my ear talking about the chickens are coming home to roost. And to be clear, I'm not saying that people that find themselves on the receiving end or having to survive a natural disaster in any way, shape, or form have deserved what is happening to them. But I think America as a colony, as a place, as a imperial force in the world, as the world's leading capitalist nation and economy, I think America deserves what is happening to it and to us by extension. You know, fuck. I'm a colonized person in the colony. I don't deserve it. Y'all don't deserve it. But unfortunately, America does. And in these first 10 days of 2025, we have seen allegedly 2 terrorist attacks. We've seen these wildfires. We've seen a relatively minor winter storm absolutely collapse the drinking water of Richmond, Virginia, and some of the surrounding counties. 500,000 people affected, can't drink the water, can't shower in the water, can't flush the water. And this is all happening within a week. It was all good just a week ago. It wasn't, though. And I hope that this is not the harbinger for the rest of 2025, though I have a sneaking suspicion that it might be. But when you look at what could have all been all the causes of these fires in Southern California, and the fact that the mayor prioritized the police budget over the fire budget. Let me say this real quick. All of the empathy deserved, all of the goodwill and outpouring that is coming to the victims and survivors of these wildfires. I understand that. At the same time, when the Los Angeles Police Department, who had their budget increased over 100 million, while the fire department had its budget decreased by about 20 million, when the LAPD clear homeless encampments and literally destroy people's homes, destroy people's tents, throw people's belongings and prized possessions and vital paperwork, when they destroy those people's homes, even though society may not view a tent and a sleeping bag on a sidewalk as a home, but it is, because we have millions of people that remain unhoused in America. Like, the empathy is not outpouring for those folks, right? Like, I don't see, and no diss to Chef Jose Andres. I'm using him as an example because he shows up when there's disasters all the time. In this Los Angeles wildfire is no different. The World Central Kitchen is out there serving meals. But, you know, where are those types of high profile, high visibility people when the homeless encampments are destroyed, when those homes are destroyed? See, because we have empathy for rich people, for homeowners, for people with some status or some affluence. We can see their destruction and hear their tears when they sob and break down about having lost all of their worldly possessions. But when the least of us, the unhoused, the disabled, the mentally unwell, the people who was 2 paychecks away until they was no paychecks away and then found themselves on the streets, like that same sort of valiant response to assist and to provide, it isn't there, right? And in a society like that, tragically, and I hate that karma be a bitch, but she do be a bitch. In a society like that, what we get is what we get. And tragically, the folks in Pacific Palisades and Alta Vista, Altadena, you know, I don't wish bad things upon them individually, but America as a collective, as an entity, is about to be feeling these things more and more frequently and with more intensity. And let me tell you another way, because I talk about how the American project, you know, we may not need some external enemy to take us down. We don't need China to come take us down. We don't need Russia to come take us down. The shit is crumbling from the inside, okay? And I'm sure you guys have heard these stories of residents in these places, Pacific Palisades specifically, recently having their fire insurance canceled. I think I heard State Farm in there as one of the major homeowners insurance carriers that recently ended the policies for thousands of folks in that area. And now the insurance companies are threatening not to insure structures or homes that may be rebuilt in that area. And this is an issue, we talked about this on the Remix Morning Show. This is an issue that is impacting and will continue to impact regions of the country that continue to be hard hit and repeatedly hit by bigger and stronger weather events like hurricanes, like tornadoes, like wildfires. Homeowners in Florida are facing a time right now, either having their homeowners insurance policies balloon as high as $10,000 a year for a policy, or people having their policies outright canceled and not having the ability to obtain new homeowners insurance. The American dream is about to be an American daydream. That shit is about to be a fantasy. You know what I'm saying? All the advantages to so-called home ownership, especially in desirable places like coastal Florida or the California beaches. What kind of dream is that? if you can't get insurance to recompensate you after you've lost all of your things, or even give you the ability to rebuild. And see, this is where capitalism falls all the way down, baby, because capitalism doesn't care about you, about your circumstance, about your ability to stay housed, even if you are wealthy in some instances, right? If you can't have insurance on your house, then what? It's crazy. And so when I'm thinking about where this is all going, right? If our government was serious about its citizens and our ability to remain safe and housed and so-called protected by our public safety agencies like police and fire and rescue, etc., then it would make sure that people had the ability to stay in their houses. So what I'm saying is, how come we don't have nationalized insurance, homeowners insurance? I know the state of Florida has a state-based program, but there's Republicans in charge, so it's all kinds of shady shit going on with that. But you're going to have to nationalize a lot of these things. Homeowners insurance, health insurance, like maybe our water has to be nationalized, maybe our power has to be national, like this. The government, the federal government, needs to be assuming ownership of these things, because when you have capitalist entities, corporations like insurance companies, if it's not profitable for them, they're going to say fuck you to the people that live in these disaster prone areas, and they're never going to be able to recover, right? I don't quite know the worth and the value of Pacific Palisades. I'm assuming it's quite a bit, right? I think the number I've heard to rebuild all of what has been damaged in Southern California by these particular wildfires, I think that number is like $50 billion, something crazy. It's a insane number. But even thinking about the folks that are in Appalachia right now, in Western North Carolina, in Eastern Tennessee, that are still dealing with the after effects of Hurricane Helene, like, and our government has fallen down on the fucking job. Now, Trump's response when he becomes president in these next several days, his response to this SoCal fire to me is going to be very interesting, because in previous incidents past, where so-called blue states have been impacted by weather disasters, red state leaders, usually in the Senate, have either stood in firm opposition to authorizing additional FEMA funds, as it were, Or just said, no, we're not helping. Like, for example, the people affected by Superstorm Sandy, I think in 2012, people in New York and New Jersey, a lot of those people, it took them several years to get access to full FEMA assistance. Why? In part because conservative congressional leaders were opposed to the assistance, to the help, because it was people in blue states, which is so stupid. So my point is this: I don't know how quick Trump is going to be ready to help the folks in LA, because that's a Democratic stronghold. It's a fundraising stronghold. It's a donor stronghold, right? That is not outwardly Trump country. And Trump is a petty motherfucker. He won't forget shit like that. He'll say, well, those people out there, they didn't really like me. California didn't vote for me. So, we'll get to it when we get to it. Those people have plenty of money. They'll be all right. And I'm telling you, that federal assistance is going to be slow, if existed at all. Joe Biden better authorize as much shit as he can before he leaves office, because Trump's going to be like, so sorry. I do not know what to tell you. So sorry. But the karmic everything that screams at me when I see these images, the potential for arson, the potential that this was a man-made thing, the obvious nature of this being a climate catastrophe. Why was this felt so acutely in this instance, this go round 2025? The meteorologist told us California had experienced record high precipitation 2022, 2023. I think they got over 100% of the amount of annual precipitation in the form of both rain and snow that they usually get, right? And then 2024 was record drought. So during those years of record precipitation, a lot of brush was able to grow, right? Brush, I don't know. What's the California brush? I don't know, bushes and shit. The brush was able to grow beautifully. I remember seeing the beautiful pictures of all the wildflower blooms after the wildfires. It was gorgeous. But the brush ended up drying out the following year because of the drought. And that was all potent tinder and kindling for these wildfires to spread. That was weird. I heard something. It's all right. So that's the climate part of this. Why is that even a thing? Why are we experiencing these climate extremes? Because of our continuance usage of fossil fuels, right? We continue to put more carbon, more methane into the environment. It heats up the ocean. There is more moisture available in the atmosphere, causing these atmospheric rivers, which again, wild terms, wild new meteorological terms we've been experiencing in this past half decade to decade. Crazy. The atmospheric rivers causing the tremendous precipitation, the stronger storms, the 6-foot snow shits, they're dropping 6 feet of snow up in Big Bear. The fuck? Since when? The hell? And these things are going to continue to exasperate and get worse, because there is no ambition, no motivation, no political will to stem the usage of fossil fuels. We are so fucked. We are so fucked. We are so fucked. And I hate that this climate disaster had to happen to rich people. It had to happen to perfect victims in the eyes of America. White people, white families, people who are homeowners. It had to happen to them in order for the nation's attention to be drawn and people be dissecting all of the reasons why this happened. Climate change, government incompetence, and poor infrastructure. These are things that are impacting every community in this country in some way or form or another. All of us are going to feel this in different ways. This is how it's presenting in SoCal. The hurricanes is how it presents in the Gulf. The tornadoes is how it presents in the South and in the Midwest. It's fucking nuts. We are on a runaway train of disaster, and we don't have any leadership in government, in business, that is willing to do any fucking thing about it. So the most that we can expect to do is try to survive. So what are some of the lessons learned? What are y'all's takeaways from seeing the pictures that you're seeing? I'm talking about specifically from this wildfire, y'all. What is the things that you thought to, I'm like, all right, I'll tell you a couple things. What did I think I need to have? I said, well, I need to get one of those little fire boxes, flood-proof, fireproof boxes to put important documents in. Birth certificates, passports, paperwork that you're going to have to present to somebody should a disaster befall you, right? You need something like that to keep your extra medication. I recently purchased, this is not an ad, nor is it a sponsorship, but I got some Life Straw water bottles, right? High filtration water bottles in case the water goes out, as is the case right now in Richmond, Virginia. I'm looking into ham radios. You feel me? Like we need to be able to communicate. We need to be able to survive. We need to be able to eat. And it would behoove really everybody, regardless of what level you're at, especially if you are poor and disabled, do what you can to start siphoning away supplies or, things that could be beneficial to you, things that you know that you will specifically need. Like I need good flashlights, right? I need some high powered shit. I would like to have a radio. And again, on the TikTok shop, they got every fucking thing. y'all. The TikTok shop is fucking disaster preparedness, just ready and waiting for you. Shit's crazy. So we will continue to monitor, I guess, this latest calamity affecting the United States and it's karma. I feel terrible for the people that this is happening to. I also feel terrible for the homeless people pre-wildfire who had their houses destroyed, and that shit didn't get no national coverage. That shit didn't get the mass empathy and response from the nation. No. We have to keep things in perspective and also remember you have to hold compassion and empathy and be willing to help those whose stories don't make the news, right? Those whose stories are not the center of the national conversation. Those are the stories that usually get ignored, but we do send solidarity and love to all those affected, people and animals alike. Let me take a quick break here, everybody. Thank you all so much for joining me. Fire Familia. Get your asses in here. Get your asses in here. I was talking to Will before the show because I was grumpy. You know why I was grumpy before the show, everybody? You know what I've been dealing with today? It's been me versus the chin hairs. That's right. It's me. I'm Kim. I'm your aunt. I'm assuming perimenopausal. This is bullshit. I still experience menstruation whilst experiencing hot flashes, whilst growing a beard. And I disagree with all of this. I would like to unsubscribe from this particular phase of life. I think it is really unfair that these chin hairs seem to have it out for me and really demand more of my time than they deserve. And I said, Jesus, I said, Lord, I said, do you not see that I am skinned of light? Do you not understand that as a light-skinned woman, I was born with a starter mustache and sideburns, and now you want to give me a matching beard? Thanks. I'm gonna be like old girl from Friday After Next. You know what I'm saying? Ice Cube is gonna come tell me to line that up. Just line that up. Well, somebody like it though. Anyway, anybody feel my pain? No. Oh, you lucky beardless bitches. Oh, I can't stand y'all. So anyway.
On a different note,
On a different note.
thank you to Anna Hart. She just wanted to remind everybody about tomorrow's Around the Fire support sessions, and for members So please if you want to enjoy that and join that, become a member on the channel.
Yes.
We're trying to get our patrons up. Also, share, like, and subscribe, and get us some more patrons. We appreciate y'all.
Very much.
We have like 150 people in the chat. So
beautiful.
Keep sharing, keep liking.
Thank you, Will. That's Will, everybody. The man with the plan behind the microphone. Thank you so much, Anna Hart. Appreciate the timely reminder. Burn It Down with Kim Brown. This is a channel. I am Black and beautiful and disabled, and we have a monthly disability support chat. We call it the Around the Fire Support Sesh. It is front womaned by our constellation of beautiful femmes, Anna, Abby, Mama Lorraine. I come in there too. Shout out to the whole Around the Fire Disability Support Sesh crew. What's up to Greg? What's up to Kofi? What's up, Vesper? What's up, Damien? What's up, Courtney? What's up, Swerby Ferry? You know, the folk them come through. And you should too. So check the membership section, the community section of the channel. And it's not just for members, by the way. We appreciate Anna and Abby said we could open it up to all. And I said, cool. I'd just be worried about infiltrators because I'm a paranoid person and I always think someone's out to get me. But Anna and Abby be holding that shit down. So if you want to come through, be looking on the communities page tomorrow. I'm gonna see if we can get it on Patreon. I told y'all I got fucking logged out of Patreon on my app and I just gave up. I was like, I can't. How the fuck? Why Patreon signed me out of the goddamn account on the app? Bullshit. So I'm gonna see if I can send the info to Molly and see if Molly can get it up on Patreon for us. But it will be on the YouTube community section. We do this every second Saturday of the month, 5 p.m. Eastern. We have our friends joining us from across the country. Some of our friends from the UK join us. So it's for all. Windra, you are so amazeballs. Thank you so much for your support. That makes me so appreciative. So thank you so much. That is wonderful. If you want to be like Windra, you can run us some support. Windra just sent this via Venmo. So Venmo at BIDWKB, Cash App, $BIDWKB, PayPal.me/BIDWKB. And of course, as Will mentioned, we have Patreon available, Patreon.com/BIDWKB. Will, when are we going to get them Twitch turnups up on Patreon? We got that coming forth for the folks. I am going to resume the Twitch turnups, everybody. I have to, I'm sorry. I have to feel inspired, right? Because you guys, for those that have tuned into my Twitch turn up, BIDWKB on Twitch, where I play music, I do put thought and effort into it. And you guys see me, I be in here singing and sweating. So I give during the Twitch turn up. So I have to derive more inspiration. But anyway, well, we getting them joints up or what? What's up?
Yeah, I got you.
Thank you. What would have been funny if Will would have said nah, but he said yeah. So anyway, we appreciate all the support. Thanks to everyone that's in here watching us live now. Do me a favor, like the video, subscribe to the channel, Burn It Down with Kim Brown every Tuesday and Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern. And speaking of disability support, as I mentioned, I am a disabled creator. And when I see stories about ableism, they always jump out at me. Why? Because as a person that is now disabled, but lived, let's say, the first half of my life relatively non-disabled, I see the difference, okay? There is a difference in the way that so-called able-bodied people are treated in this country versus disabled people. And whether or not your disability is visible or invisible, whether or not it's obvious or not obvious, can impact the way that you are treated. So I have a couple of stories here that I wanted to bring y'all because they pissed me off. Okay. Again, this is a grievance space. This is an airing of the fucking grievances. And the ableism that is so commonplace and routine in this country in particular. I can't speak to other places. I haven't lived any other place. I've lived here my whole life. And Americans really love to believe that because we passed something called the Americans with Disability Act, we think that that is a panacea for disabled people to automatically have access to services and spaces of which we have been historically locked out of, is part of the American exceptionalism mythology. Yes, the ADA exists, but how effective is it? How is it able to be used when disabled people encounter discrimination in the world? Well, I have some stories here I'd like to tell y'all. You like to hear it? Here it go. This first story is a local one. This is from Maryland, Charles County. Okay. Charles County is an affluent place, starting to become. And this story really pissed me off for a number of reasons. And I'm not going to even preface it a whole lot. We'll go ahead and cue that up and let's just go ahead and run it.
From a group of local parents who say their children with developmental and learning disabilities were refused service at a restaurant. Happened earlier this month when a group of students with special needs were taking part in a life skills learning trip that involved a visit to a Cracker Barrel. Well, the group was denied service, leading to a community outcry. Today, dozens of parents and community members gathered to protest outside that restaurant. Here's what that scene looked like. News Force Mauricio Casillas shows us what they're hoping to accomplish.
Shut them down! Shut them down! Dozens of demonstrators making their voices heard outside the Waldorf Cracker Barrel. They were calling on community members to boycott the restaurant for what they call unfair and disrespectful treatment to the group of Charles County school system students.
We are her voice. We are her advocates. And if nothing is changed or nothing is heard, if they're not heard, then no change will happen.
Dustin Reed's 7-year-old daughter was part of the group. She's nonverbal. Reed says the experience was hard for his daughter. This all started when a group of students planned to take part in a life skills program which involved a trip to the restaurant. According to an email that was sent out by the Charles County Public School superintendent, staff notified the restaurant that they were coming and were told they didn't need a reservation. But when the group arrived, a restaurant employee declined services and requested the restaurant be removed from the list of businesses willing to participate in the effort, known as community-based instruction. The group was able to place a carryout order. After the initial backlash, Cracker Barrel said it fired a general manager and 2 employees. In a statement in News 4, the company also said, quote, "We strive to create a welcoming environment and great experience for guests of all abilities, and we have a zero-tolerance policy against any form of discrimination. We did not refuse service to this student group, but operational breakdowns caused by staffing shortages and poor communication on our part led us to fall well short of our service standards that day. This is unacceptable," end quote. Reed says he and others are not satisfied with Cracker Barrel's response.
They've never apologized for discriminating against our children. In the meeting that they had on last Monday with us parents, they denied discrimination, told us that we're all going to have to agree to disagree, and we're sorry that we feel this way.
Reed says a few people decided to turn back from the restaurant after hearing what the protesters had to say. He says the most important thing is continuing to advocate for those with different abilities.
You never know what disability someone may have. They may look like they don't have any disabilities or anything of that nature, but you have no idea. So just be kind. Always be kind-hearted to everybody.
Some of those parents involved in the protests tell News 4 that they're weighing whether or not to take legal action against the restaurant chain. Cracker Barrel says it's working to fix some of those missteps, including moving forward with specialized training for some of the employees here at the Waldorf Cracker Barrel. Report.
There's a lot wrong with that. Let me focus on the minutia first. The children were denied service, but a carryout order was placed. What the fuck? Wait a second. Cracker Barrel shouldn't have got $1 out of anybody that day. Fuck your carryout order. We not spending no money here. You know, you just treated us and discriminated against us and these children. No carryout order should be placed. Second of all, the tidbit at the end where corporate says that they are going to provide specialized training for the Waldorf location. And this is what fucks me up. about people, period, right? Someone has to train you not to treat other people like shit. Someone has to give you direction and instruction not to be a fucking asshole to a group of children. In this case, did they happen to be children? Could have been adult, but it was kids. Y'all wanted to be assholes to kids. You wanted to deny literal food to children, deny services to kids. And someone has to give you specialized training to do that. So this is why America's a fucked up, rotten place. You cannot legislate hearts and minds, right? The ADA, a wonderful attempt, a good document, I suppose. But if people in their hearts, on the inside, if people are dirtbags and lack compassion, lack empathy, lack an ability to see everyone as equal and treat them accordingly, there's no amount of rules or training that can affect how we are on the inside. And I'm not saying all the employees at the Waldorf Cracker Barrel ain't shit. No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is it's weird to say that you have to train people in order to treat others, how to treat customers with a basic standard of decency and service and accommodation. Wild, right? But to me, it's reminiscent kind of like the Civil Rights Act, right? Yes, there are all these appropriate human rights points that are in there. You cannot discriminate based on race, gender, sex, etc. But people do it. I guess people, they just break the law all the fucking time, again, because you cannot legalize or legislate whether or not people are exercising basic decency, right? And that just tells me, and again, I'm not saying this is everyone ain't shit. No. But the prevalence of how many ain't shit people there are in the world is disturbing. It really bothers me. And people seem to think that America, oh, we treat our disabled way better. Oh, look at the services, look at this, look at that. Especially if you have a disabled child. Those parents will tell you how they have to fight literally tooth and nail for any sort of services or accommodations that their children receive, right? And same goes with disabled adults. But again, disabled folks are more likely to be experiencing unhousedness, to be living homeless, to be institutionalized. Disabled people have an elevated risk of being brutalized or murdered by police, right? The majority of people that end up getting killed by cops have a disability of some sort, right? And then when you compound race into that, when you compound class or poverty into that, those life and those health outcomes get worse, right? And I just think it's so heartbreaking that as part of life skills training, what these children learned is that the world is ableist. The world views you as not deserving or less deserving, and they will treat you accordingly. And that is a bitter pill for anybody to swallow. I hate the fact that children had to experience this. I applaud the parents and their efforts in the protest. I'm glad to see that they were able to dissuade some patrons from spending their money at that Cracker Barrel. No, you don't spend no money. And Cracker Barrel says that they fired their general manager and 2 other employees. That's all well and good. But unless you're going to institute some sort of corporate, nationalized standard of training for how to deal with and accommodate disabled patrons, like that's not a location specific issue. This is a widespread issue, and not just for Cracker Barrel, for industries running the gamut, right? And you guys know, like, let me tell you. So let me tell you something that this school system and these parents did that sounds regular and routine, but it is a major part of how disabled people move about in the world. And I do this as a disabled person, and I wonder if we have any disabled people with us that also do this, or if you have some disabled people in your sphere and you find yourself doing this. But wherever I'm going, I have to do a reconnaissance mission. I have to do recon. I got to go online. I got to look at pictures. I got to see the lighting situation. This is my situation. You know what I'm saying? I got to see whether or not the venue or restaurant or wherever the fuck I'm going is well lit. I need to be made aware if there are stairs. You know, is it a lot of stairs? Is it complicated for me to get up and down? And again, I don't have those kinds of mobility issues. Like I can walk and shit, but you know, I might fall. Like I need to know. This is all I can't, pardon the pun, but I can't go places blind. You feel me? Like I have to know what the fuck I'm about to walk into. And the people who are coordinating this life skills field trip for these students to this Cracker Barrel restaurant called in advance, told them what they were doing, told them who the group was coming. They were told no problem until they got there. And it was a fucking problem. And that to me, that would have sent me into orbit. You know what I'm saying? Because what is the point of me calling ahead and doing reconnaissance and making people aware of what the situation is if you're just going to treat me like shit when I arrive, right? And this sounds like a very simple thing, right? But it is such a huge part of how disabled people move and whether or not we feel welcome and safe within certain spaces, right? And if you do the reconnaissance and you decide, no, this don't sound like a good space, then you try to make other arrangements, or you change your plans, or you go eat somewhere else, or whatever. But I just hate the fact that the reconnaissance on behalf of these students was done and they still encountered the discrimination, the ableism, and the disrespect. That shit really grinded my fucking gears. Let me get to the next ableist story to grind my gears. Now, Will, do me a favor. Hold on. Tell me what this man's name is. Maybe you could tell me after the fact. Did someone else send us some money? Someone else did send us some money. Why? Because y'all are the fucking shit. Come through, Alicia. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you so much. I love you guys. So much, so much, so much. The next video, this guy is a content creator. I think he's even on YouTube. You guys know I'm very bad at the 6-point font available on TikTok, so sometimes I don't be knowing people's name, but Will's going to tell us after we run the video. So this particular story involves a okay, this is the one involving the dog. Who here has service animals? Who's here has service animals that may not be officially deputized as service animals, right? But they provide a service nonetheless, right? So what are service animals? So usually we think of service animals as those guiding the visually impaired. Service animals can help those who are epileptic or suffer from seizures or have, you know, a myriad of different conditions. And when disabled people are trying to find housing, or housing is one thing, but this includes transportation, this includes service in public facilities, you'd really be surprised at how many so-called public spaces really treat those who have service animals with a lot of disdain. Ride share providers are notorious for this. There is a number of specifically blind and visually impaired folks that have clocked calling an Uber, calling a Lyft, and when a ride arrives and sees that they have a dog, they will cancel the ride and leave. Which is bananas. Which is fucking crazy. Can you imagine? You're just leaving a blind person on the street with a dog. Oh, skirt. Sorry. And shame on the rideshare companies for not at least providing an alternative or an accommodation. I understand why some drivers may not want to have dogs in their car. I fucking get it. People have allergies, all kinds of shit. I understand that, but there has to be an accommodation made. There has to be a workaround available. But when it comes to housing, right? Folks that are disabled who have service animals are routinely denied housing, and or they are charged exorbitant amounts for pet deposits, security deposits, because of the animals. So this is coming out of Kansas, where this couple that is clearly struggling with poverty, right, were denied housing because of their service animal. Let's take a look at the story.
Because of their service dog. KSNT News reporter Reina Garcia tracks down answers in the story you'll only see on KSNT News.
After being kicked out of a motel for having a service dog, Michael Pennington and his wife Sandy tried to rent an apartment here at the Raceway Apartments, but they were denied occupancy after they refused to show certification for their service dog. The Penningtons both have disabilities and rely heavily on their service dog Sassy to help them with their daily activities.
She is a big part of our lives and takes care of us more than people think that an animal can take care of someone. But they don't have that experience because they're not disabled.
The owner of the Raceway Apartments tells KSNT News she was justified in asking for certification of the service dog and acted completely within the law. While potential tenants can be denied occupancy for other factors, having a service dog is not one of them. Disability Rights Center of Kansas attorney Kip Elliott says according to federal law, the Penningtons are not obligated to provide any type of certification for their service dog because service dogs don't even have to be certified.
Under the Americans with Disability Act, that covers that type of thing, Department of Justice, there is no certification.
Elliott says that carrying around these cards that contain information on service dog laws can sometimes help resolve these issues, but it's important that everyone be educated on what the laws are. In Topeka, Reina.
And I appreciate that sentiment. It's important that everybody be educated on what the laws are. But unfortunately, in this case, for example, ignorance of the law doesn't mean that services or accommodations won't be denied, right? Okay, let's assume this leasing officer, whoever the fuck, didn't know the particulars of the Americans with Disabilities Act and people's ability to have service animals without quote unquote certification papers. The person in charge, the person who had the power, the person to affirm or deny whether or not these people, this disabled couple, received housing, didn't give a fuck about what the law was. Okay. And guess what? The police didn't show up to enforce said fucking law. And if the couple who moved from the motel to the goddamn roadway apartments, which don't sound like they got a whole lot of amenities over there at the roadside, a part of the roadway apartments. If you think the impoverished disabled couple got private attorney money to bring a federal lawsuit against the roadway apartments for disability discrimination? No. And that's the point. If you think that you find, and as I think I find myself towards the bottom of the social hierarchy because of my race and gender and my ability level, right? Like the disability undergirds everything. Okay. White folks get treated like shit when they are disabled, right? Disability undergirds it all. Amani Barberin tells us this all the time. As much as race and gender are a factor, you will see the ubiquitous discrimination come in the form of ableism. Everybody can get the ableism treatment, right? Regardless of your race, regardless of your gender. I'm thinking maybe even of your class status. Which one of the Kennedy kids, I think, wasn't it Rose Kennedy? One of the Kennedy, I'm talking about John F. K. and Robert Sr. and Teddy Kennedy's siblings. I think it was Rose Kennedy, wasn't it? The one that was institutionalized her whole life. Okay. I can't recall what her specific disability was, whether or not she had cerebral palsy or something of the sort, but they put her as an institution her whole entire life. She ain't come chill at the compound for fucking holidays and shit. No, they put her ass in the goddamn institution. Why? Because if you're disabled, you can get treated any old fucking kind of way. And it's expected. It is acceptable. It is a legitimate, regularized form of discrimination that everybody gets to participate in, regardless of your race and gender and class, right? Everybody gets to kick and shit on disabled folks. And I don't know what this particular couple in Kansas, their disabilities weren't specified. They didn't have to be. But the only accommodation they were seeking was for their dog to be able to live in the place with them. They had just been evicted from a previous place, which had denied them because of their dog. And now they were being denied yet again because of their dog. And and to be clear, I have a dog. She is not a service dog. In fact, Bagheera, I would describe her as the worst guide dog ever in the goddamn world. Bagheera has no qualms about walking me into fucking anything, right? So terrible. She would be a terrible service dog. I would not even be able to pass her off as a service dog. If anything, she is an emotional support dog, but god damn it, I would be entitled to have her be that for me as well. Okay. And the way, in that piece, I appreciate the attorney referencing the Americans with Disabilities Act, saying that under this federal law, this disabled couple was legally entitled to have their service dog and not have to provide any particular paperwork or certifications for the dog. But again, when the people who have the say-so over whether or not you remain housed don't care or uninformed about the law doesn't mean anything. If it can't be enforced in the moment, or if it can't be recognized in the moment, then what does the law really mean? The ADA is not this panacea. It is not this golden ticket that unlocks accessibility for those who are disabled in this country. It was a mediocre first step at best, right? I appreciate the curb cutouts. It's a good thing. Okay. I appreciate the countdowns on the crosswalks. All well and good. Good first entry steps to making society more inclusive and accessible. But the ADA is over 30 years old. And it has not been significantly updated in any meaningful way. And the fact that disabled people are still forced to suffer these public indignities, being denied service in a restaurant, these life-altering discriminations, being denied housing, shit is fucking crazy. But this is America. This is where we live. And what I really hope, I really hope this. Like, I want us to cease with the lateral violence, right? Them people at Cracker Barrel, working hourly wage folks. Why are you shitting on disabled children? The person who is the leasing officer at the apartments, probably not making $100,000 a year. You know what I'm saying? Why are you shitting on these people? It gives you what? A boost? You feel powerful? That you as a working class person, there's somebody beneath you that you can step on and make yourself feel better. You can throw roadblocks and impediments to someone's ability to live without worry or burden or this additional type of burdens, and that makes you feel good. Like, what is the point here? I guess Americans' entire goal is to get yourself to a status where you can be just slightly above, a step or two above somebody that you can stomp on. That shit pissed me off. Last but not least, well, get that brother. Well, he's not a brother, but we consider him a brother because he does good work. I consider this guy does great work. And Will, after we play the clip, tell me the man them name. Because he is a YouTuber and a TikTok creator, and he's really well known for outing
Tizzy ENT.
Thank you, Tizzy. Appreciate that. Thank you, Will. See, Will coming through with the assist. Tizzy, y'all know Tizzy on YouTube and Twitter. Did I say Twitter? Fuck. No, I meant to say TikTok. Tizzy usually has these videos of people being jerks or police or all kinds of shit. And he'll ask, tell me who this person is. He's there to name and shame, let's say that, folks that are violent or just overall shitheads in the world, right? But this particular video, Tizzy took a different, a bit of a different take, and it has to do with a deaf woman, again seeking service and denied basic accommodation. But plot twist: what happens when the blacks, or not even just the blacks, but blacks are absolutely included in this? What happens when people, I can't even say act out, because this person in this next video did not act out whatsoever. They were just having questions, right? Why are you treating me this way? Why am I being denied accommodation and service? And they had the police called on them. Wow. Anyway, Will, go ahead and run the clip.
I want y'all to meet Suhili. She is lovely. She's accomplished. She also happens to be. I want y'all to meet Suhili. She is lovely. She's accomplished. She also happens to be deaf. And the other morning, she was driving to work, and she did what many of us do on the way to work. She pulled into a Dunkin' to get a morning beverage. And much like everyone else, she used the drive-thru because she's in a hurry. She's trying to get to work. And what she does, because she can't use the intercom, is she pulls around to the window, and then she has her order already typed out on the Notes app. And she holds it up for the person at the register. They process the order, give her her thing, and she's on her way. She says she does this all the time. But on this morning when she pulled up, the person at the window said, "We're not going to serve you." And she was confused. That person left. And then a manager came back and said this.
"You have to come inside. Since you're deaf, we cannot talk to you through the speaker. Have a great day."
The manager ended up later saying that this is company policy. That's why she did it, because it will hold up the line, as if there are a ton of deaf people using the drive-thru at once, causing a backup. And it's worth noting that all she needed was a medium drink. It's not like she was ordering breakfast sandwiches or a bunch of items, just one medium drink. It would have been very easy to fulfill that order and send her on her way, just like had been done for her many times before. She was at the window trying to get their attention, still confused, and then the manager said, "You need to pull out of line. I'm calling the cops." And again, she's reading lips and stuff, so she's like, is she saying what I think I'm saying? She parks, she sends the video to her mother, and her mom says, "Just wait there. Your stepfather and your brother are coming." By the time they arrive, the police are there. They called the cops on her. And if it wasn't for that, I'd feel like this is just a teachable moment. Like, hey, maybe you could have handled this better. Hey, Duncan, is this your policy? Maybe you need to educate your employees better. But then they involved the police. And her brother and stepdad needed to translate for her because she couldn't really communicate with them. And basically the police seemed confused that they were there, she said. That they were like, "We're not quite sure why they called us. And I'm not sure if you can file a complaint about this, but if you feel like you were, discriminated against, you should file a complaint." She wasn't trespassed. She was asked to leave that day. They said, "You can come back a different time, but they want you gone today." All of this is ridiculous. None of this should have happened. Duncan needs to say something about this. And those employees need to do better.
At minimum, the employees need to do better. So when we hear about diversity, equity, and inclusion programs that were hastily added post the George Floyd, Breonna Taylor uprisings in 2020, where all these companies, all of a sudden, we believe in racial equity, we want justice and fairness and blah, blah, blah. Well, all that was public relations bullshit, right? They fed us all of that kumbaya shit to try to meet the moment, right? People were upset because brutality and racial violence coming from the hands of the state against unarmed people raised its ugly head yet once again. And these corporations were called to the mat about how they support police, all this shit. So they decided, we're going to try to, we're going to create diversity, equity, and inclusion. Well, the white backlash, or rather the racist white backlash, was felt and heard, and corporations such as Walmart, such as Lowe's, such as a variety of others, John Deere, Harley Davidson, et cetera, have all decided to roll back their diversity, equity, and inclusion. But when you hear DEI, most people think that that's a synonym for race. It's a synonym for sexual identity and for gender, but it also includes disability. And when these corporations roll back diversity, equity, and inclusion, not only are they rolling back potential employment opportunities for disabled folks, they are rolling back the way that they engage with their disabled customers and patrons altogether. It's abhorrent that we are a quarter of the way through the 21st century and standard training of how to welcome and serve all potential customers and groups is not a part of the regular ass onboarding process at a place such as Dunkin' Donuts or fucking Cracker Barrel, right? And that's intentional because despite the fact that disabled people make up 1 in 5, that's 20%, people in this country, some even say 1 in 4. So we're talking about between 20 and 25%, between a fifth and a quarter of people living in this rotten colony have some form of disability. And the fact that these companies, these corporations, are perfectly content to not serve, not accommodate, not include, not give a fuck about 25% of the fucking population is a wild time. Like, that is a wild fucking concept, but it is the reality that disabled folks and disabled adjacent folks and caregivers experience on a regular basis. I want you to imagine in this scenario with the deaf woman at the Dunkin' Donuts. First of all, that manager might be lucky that the customer couldn't hear her and this fucking disrespectful hand movements and we can't serve you because you're deaf. What the fuck does that even fucking mean? Bitch, can you read? The patron had written down her order. The fuck you mean you can't serve her because she's deaf? The only way you can't serve her if she's deaf is if you yourself are illiterate. Her disability, the customer's disability, had fuck all to do with her coffee order. Again, a marginalized person, a working class person, felt a tiny bit of power, their ability to deny someone else something as simple as a cup of coffee because they felt like it. Maybe, obviously, the working class person, the manager, whoever it was that came to the window, is probably under their own relative, level of stress and oppression, right? Working a fucking hourly paying job at Dunkin' Donuts on a weekday morning. Yeah, not fun. At the same time, what the fuck does that got to do with your ability to read a coffee order? Absolutely nothing. How much more time would it have taken to process the deaf customer's coffee order? No extra time whatsoever. But it was that person's desire? I don't know. I can't even call it a power trip, but that's seemingly what it felt like. No, I'm going to make this person, I'm going to pretend as though I can't accommodate this person at all. No, you cannot give us your order written down. That's not how we do things here. You got to come in and give your order. And then what? You'd have been reading the fucking note from inside the goddamn Dunkin' Donuts as opposed to through the drive-through window. What are we talking about here? And then the audacity. You want to call the police on this woman? What? On what charge? On what grounds? Because she refused to leave? Well, she didn't leave because she didn't understand what the fuck was happening. It wasn't making sense. And I want to say, thank the Lord that I suppose the bloodthirsty police weren't on duty that morning, right? Because we've even seen it recently. The black gentleman from the Phoenix, Arizona area, if I'm not mistaken, who was attacked by cops, a deaf man who was given commands to stop, right? These dumb fucking cops in Arizona shouting commands at a deaf man as he's walking away. The fuck? And then they have a nerve to jump on him and arrest him. Like, disabled people of varying abilities and disabilities are vulnerable and are in danger in our so-called inclusive fucking society. And people won't hesitate to call the state on a disabled person if they are acting out or not complying, right? It's just amazing to me. Just the shit that people have the police called on them, and for what? And again, we want to thank goodness that this deaf patron had friends and family close by to come and advocate for her in person to the police, right? I'm grateful for that. Because what would have been the alternative, right? And by the way, a lot of police departments don't have people that know ASL, American Sign Language, on their staff. I know for all the bad that DC Metropolitan Police are, I think they have 2 officers that are versed in ASL. And they get a lot of work in the sense that those skills are put to the test. Why? Because people that are hearing impaired are a part of our regular ass society. And we should be prepared to engage with them, especially in front facing positions, either from public safety to just regular food service / retail. And the fact that people aren't even willing, people, other regular people, other working people, other able-bodied people are not willing to just make slight concessions, slight accommodations to make a disabled person's morning, their life, their experience in that particular place just go smoothly, normally as possible. It's wild to me. But it just represents a compassion gap. I'm not sure exactly what it is, guys. I can remember being elementary school age. And again, I felt as though where I went to school, I felt as though we were exposed to disability. Oh, I don't know about how often, but what's some frequency, right? Like, I remember, like, I can probably do the freaking ASL. I can probably still sign my ABCs, right? Because we learned that. We did the wheelchair basketball. You know what I'm saying? What other disabled stuff were we exposed to? The disabled kids in our school, you know, even though they were sequestered in a way in their own classroom, but when change of class, we walk in the halls together. I remember I was friends with some disabled kids. You feel me? Like, so having a lack of compassion or not wanting to do a simple thing like hold a door a little bit longer for a person using a wheelchair, or reading the fucking coffee order written down from a deaf person. Like, these are small things. And let me tell you, as a disabled person, like, the shit that makes my life even slightly easier, like, sometimes I don't even like to ask for accommodation, to be honest, because people put the fuck out. They really do. You know, they really act put out behind asking for an accommodation. And let me say this, I'm gonna keep, and this is some real shit. And this is and let me be clear, this is no beef. This ain't no call out. This is just what the fuck it is, okay? My beloved comrades who I host the Remix Morning Show with, y'all, what have I asked? What have I asked? What have I asked, kids? What have I asked? If some shit is on the fucking screen, like a comment or whatever, if there's text on the screen, can we please read it aloud for all? For those, and again, that's not just for me as a visually impaired person. That, to me, that's just good broadcasting, but that's besides the point. But my point is this: it's a small accommodation that I have asked repeatedly for. Does it happen? Sometimes. And sometimes it doesn't. And when it doesn't, you know, I'm gonna be honest. Like, I feel excluded. I feel left out. I don't get the joke. What's everybody hee-heeing about? Oh, the comment that was flashed up there for 5 seconds that I didn't even realize was up there and nobody read it out loud. Oh, I see. Okay. Okay. And I don't think that's a big ask, right? I don't think that's a big accommodation ask. And I'm not even saying that my Remix Morning Show co-hosts are put out by asking. I really just think they just forget, right? But okay, that's okay. People are human. They forget. Nobody has my fucking disability or accommodation in front of mine, nor do I expect them to. That's fine. But I did ask. And I did ask more than once. I did ask more than twice, you know. But hey, if I don't get accommodated at the end of the day, what is it, y'all? That's my fucking problem, right? Only I got to deal with the indignity of that. That ain't nobody else's fucking problem. That's my problem. That's a me problem. Oh, you didn't get accommodation. That's a you problem, disabled person. Sorry. Our bad. Says the fucking staff at Cracker Barrel, says those assholes at Dunkin', says the fucking leasing agent at the Roadway Apartments. Oh, sorry, disabled person, you didn't get your accommodation. Tough shit. What you want us to do? Shrug. I want us to end ableism, guys. Okay? And ableism, and to be honest, ableism to me, yes, it's a systemic form of oppression. Yes, there are many things that are constructed in our society intentionally to exclude disabled people, to deny them regular routine services and experiences. Yes, ableism is all of those things. But the part of ableism I think that hurts the most is just the lack of compassion, the lack of empathy. What does being empathetic mean? Your ability to put yourself in the shoes of another and try to read an experience through their lens. And so many people in our society just, I don't know if they really lack the ability or they don't care to have the ability. I'm really not sure which it is. But that's the part to me about ableism that hurts the most. It may not be the most consequential on your everyday life experience. The systems that help you to live and survive, hopefully thrive, those are probably more consequential. But I can tell you the everyday casual ableism is the shit that hurts the most. And it hurts for the person experiencing it. It hurts for the people around those persons who may be experiencing that. So at minimum, can we not be shit people? At minimum, can we try to look out for those with different abilities? Can we be a little bit more conscious? If you are a stranger and you happen to see a person, again, depending on your status on the social hierarchy, can you utilize whatever power you may have to be a voice and be an advocate in a particular situation where you see somebody experiencing discrimination or hurtful treatment? Just try to do that. And listen to disabled people. When they make requests for accommodations, I promise you, you probably don't have to build a ramp to your house. Okay. Like, I mean, like I'm telling again, like myself personally, like the accommodations that I need are so fucking minimal. Can you just turn on the lights when I come in the house? Is that too much? Like, am I asking too much? Is that a big ask? I don't know. Usually accommodations are very minimal and have low impact on the abled persons in the jam. So stop being dicks. Let me take a break. I'm just, to be clear, I can't see y'all comments, but I'm just being honest. I'm not trying to shit on nobody. Are we clear on that? Y'all clear on that? I fuck with everybody. I do not fuck with ableism. Okay. Like and that's just what it is. So, you know, what's up, Bags? You coming in here? Come here, Bagheera. Bagheera got up stomping like she was ready to do something, but she might be ready to do something. So I got to keep an ear out because this nigga will take a dump in the fucking house. Okay. Like, and then And then me and Bagheera will be kung fu fighting. Dun-dun, 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 dun-dun. Come here. Come here. I do call her like a horse sometimes. Y'all hear that? I go. She's not a horse, of course. She is a Black Panther. Bagheera, please don't take a piss right now. Give me a second. Hold on. I'm on my last story. I'll be right with you. What's up, chat? What's up, Fire Familia? Come on in here. I appreciate you guys joining us tonight on Burn It Down with Kim Brown. Let me get through this last story because, again, Bagheera will cop a deuce and be like, oh, mommy, you gonna pick that up? Of course I'm gonna pick it up. yes, I will be picking it up immediately. Hold on, let me pull up my things. Again, if you guys want to support us materially, do so. Patreon.com/BIDWKB, Cash App, Venmo, BIDWKB, PayPal.me/BIDWKB. We certainly appreciate it. So this video that has been making the rounds on social media has pissed off the internet in ginormous ways. I have not seen anybody coming on the side of the pastor or the church in this particular situation. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, you're about to see it. So a church out of Hampton, Virginia, Black church, they're going to tell us the name of it very shortly. Heralded by Bishop Terry Jackson. Terry, let me tell you something. Be wary of niggas named Terry. Okay? It's like, I don't know. Now, see, Terrence is quite different, but Terry, nigga named Terry is up to something. Okay? Terrence is cool, but Terry, that nigga is up to something. Okay? And in this particular instance, Bishop Terry, first name Terry, Bishop Terry, seemingly was out to humiliate a member of his congregation. Let me give this to you real quick. So, in a recent live stream church service, a young patron of the church, age unknown, by the way, unknown for now. Some on the social medias said that this young woman is a high school graduate already. I'm not exactly sure how old she is. I would speculate between the ages of 17 and say 20, right? She could be a young adult or she could be an old teenager. Either way, she's clearly a young woman. She is slightly visibly pregnant. And the fact that she was compelled in some way to address her church because of her pregnant condition is one thing that has the internet pissed off. The other thing was the comments made by Bishop Terry after this young woman confessed her sin to the church. Deep in confusion. However, this clip highlights patriarchy, it highlights misogyny, it highlights the ways in which young women and girls continue to be slut shamed, and I guess the passes given to young boys or young men who impregnate young women. And it's always young, single, pregnant women who have to atone for what it is that they've done in the eyes of God. Even though I don't think God's tripping. But anyway, let's go ahead and look at the clip because it is pretty compelling. Started from the beginning, please, Will. Thank you.
Church at this Sister Miles' daughter want to approach the church at this time in Jesus' name. Come on, Sister Miles.
Praise the Lord, saints.
Stand right in front of the congregation. Yeah, right in front of you. Don't touch that table.
I want to apologize to everybody in here because I am pregnant. I'm sorry, y'all. And I just hope that y'all all forgive me and will pray for me.
They say, I assume should you repent, then. You never wait later to repent. If you sin, you don't wait no 2, 3. You don't wait till the baby comes to repent. You repent now. You just don't do it again. But you got to repent. I don't care how you look at it. You already know. You already know what time it is. I told her. It's not what you think it is. But the church praying for you. We ain't gonna condone your sin now. We ain't gonna do that. Ain't no baby showers going on. That's what you lose out at. You have a baby out of wedlock, ain't no baby showers. And nobody at this church about to attend one. Mama shouldn't have one neither. You gotta take care of your granddaughter. You can't condone sin. You don't have no private baby shower. You can't have no baby shower. You lose all the pride and glory. You lose all that. You just lose all that. Thank God that God didn't take you out of here. I'm not, I'm not gonna be for y'all long. I keep saying that. I'm still talking later. Hey, Bishop, you going to church? He said, you going to church? Can a leopard change this? Can a leopard change this spot? Before we go any further.
I don't even know where to begin, everybody. What a abhorrent and despicable display of patriarchy, of shame, of singular condemnation of the young woman for being pregnant. I guess she got pregnant all by herself. I guess it was a spontaneous conception. Shame on you, little girl. How dare you get pregnant all by yourself? You come up here and atone for your single-handed pregnancy because obviously you did it, right? It's on you, you fallen woman. That to me is a clear-cut version or example of misogyny. And when we think about misogyny, a lot of times we associate it with violence against women, right? Physical violence against women, sexual violence against women. But the social stigma of unwed mother is a sin in the eyes of this bishop and apparently the members of his church. And I don't know who are the bigger turds here, the bishop or the congregants that were attaboying his comments. Amen, bishop. No baby shower. Can you, y'all, that elder Black man got up there with a microphone and cameras and an audience and told the people that this church-going young woman is undeserving of a baby shower because we don't condone sin. A baby shower is for the baby. The baby, yes. You ever notice at a baby shower, do the mothers like what do the mothers get? I'm sure they get a couple things, but at the baby shower, it's for the fucking baby. It's onesies, it's bibs, it's socks, it's fucking washcloths, nigga. It's baby shoes, it's baby shit that for generations, in particular, the Black community, Black women in particular, have rallied around expectant mothers with these celebratory rituals of a baby shower. You are celebrating the bringing of a new life into the world. And the baby shower is the symbol of the community, the village coming together to bring things to assist the family, the parents, ideally, but the mother in particular, with things that the baby needs. So for this decrepit fucking man to get up there and tell this young girl who I mean, depending on the rigidity of how this particular church adheres to the doctrine, even though abortion is not a sin according to the Bible, but most Bible thumpers and holy rollers do see abortion as a sin. You gonna kill that baby? No, she's not killing the baby. She bringing the baby into the world, and y'all have the audacity to bring her up in front of the church to shame her, to tell her that she is a sinner. I can't recall what chapter and verse in the Bible it is, but it's in the New Testament. when Jesus was stomping around the world, well, he wasn't around the world, but he was in Palestine, in fucking Iraq, doing Jesus things out in Syria. You know what I'm saying? The crowd was getting ready to stone a woman accused of adultery. And Jesus rolled up and said, "The fuck is y'all doing?" I think that's a quote. Jesus said, "The fuck is y'all doing?" And then Jesus started to write in the dirt. And they speculate in the Bible that Jesus started to write in the dirt all of the sins of all the people that was getting ready to stone the so-called adulteress. Jesus said, "He without sin cast the first stone." You trying to tell me in that black church in Hampton, Virginia, ain't now a unwed single mother in the congregation? You trying to tell me that all the men sitting in those pews are married to the women that they have children with? Is that what I'm to believe, Bishop? So why is this teen girl, this young girl, being singled out for this humiliation spectacle? Well, many on social media, particularly, again, of many generations, actually. I've seen millennials, Gen X, some boomers get up there and recount their stories. Women especially, women only, by the way. Women, it's only been women I've seen recounting these stories of being either a teenager and pregnant or simply unwed and pregnant, and being called to the front of the congregation to apologize for their lustful transgression, right? And there's so much wrong. There is so much wrong here. There is so much wrong here. And the fact that sex is still classified as a sin, a natural human biological expression of procreation, whatever the fuck you think about sex, it's a natural thing, okay? And the problem is, the problem, well, there's many problems, but one of the problems is that people don't think that teenagers are having sex. Now, whether or not you think they should be having sex is one thing. Sure, they shouldn't, but they are. And they always have been. And they always will. Name the generation. I'm sorry. What generation that y'all can think of? Any generation, any fucking generation where people remained virgins until fucking marriage, right? Unless, of course, we're talking about child marriage, which is a regular occurrence, present and past, in which young girls married off at obscenely young ages. Sure, they might be, yeah, you could find a 12-year-old child bride virgin. But I'm talking about regular, comparably aged teenagers, young adults, young people have sex, okay? You can't stop it, okay? But what you can do is educate the kids. You can inform them if you want to prevent pregnancy, if you want to prevent the transmission of STIs. There is education you can give to the kids, and maybe that would prevent pregnancy. I'm curious as to whether or not this young woman was given any form of sex education, either through her schooling or through her family, or definitely didn't get it from the church family. Okay. And that's probably part of the reason for a lot of things, right? And that's this is not specific to the Black church, even though this instance is specific to the Black church, but conservative places, red states, even though Virginia is not quite a red state anymore, but places where it's a lot of church, you know what I mean? Deep, like I used to live in Oklahoma, churchy as a motherfucking Oklahoma. And guess what? Everybody had kids when they was teens, early 20s, not married, or they had these quick shotgun weddings, these shotgun marriages because somebody had got knocked up at 17, 18, 19, 20. Man, listen. I want to say this. The community has been responding to this clip, which again has incensed so many. The humiliation of this young girl, this idea that this young girl's baby to be is not going to get a baby shower from her church family or even from her actual family per the bishop. Do you know how cruel that is? To not only embarrass this young girl, but to tell her that she nor her baby are deserving or worthy of celebration of the life coming into the world. You don't get the glory. You know, you don't get to reap the benefits if you unwed. The internet's going to get to the bottom of the bishop's history. They're working on it because I again, he without sin should cast the first stone. And let me tell you something, Bishop Terry better not have no outside babies. Bishop Terry better not have no side piece jump offs in the community. Because he done opened the door now. Oh, you perfect out here, Bishop? Oh, you get to say that other people have sinners? Let's be clear here. The only person or the only entity, if we doing Christian church out here, the only being that young girl has to answer to is a God, okay? And you know, the nature of the patriarchy, particularly as it shows up in the Black church, is that usually the heads of the church are men, not exclusively, but I would say, chat, help me out here. I would say 90+%, 95+% of Black churches are headed by men, right? Man is the pastor, man is the reverend, man is the bishop. I would even imagine a lot of the church leadership is still dominated by men, even though women have been allowed to become pastors and reverends and deacons and such. But the church leadership is dominated by men, right? And the patriarchy that it takes, the chutzpah that it takes for a man to stand up there and condemn a young girl for sex. Where was the young boy? Where was the father? The internet claims that the young, I don't know how young or old, I don't know if it was a boy or man, but whomever impregnated this young girl, the internet claimed that person might also belong to the church. I can't verify that, yay or nay. But let's say yay. Where the fuck was he? How come he ain't stand up there next to her and do the apologies to the church? Why only the young woman had to apologize? Because bitches ain't shit but hoes and tricks. Per the mandem. Even per the holy mandem. And I guess it's acceptable for boys, young men, to impregnate women that they are not married to because a man's going to be a man and I don't know what you expect. If you give it up, he going to take it. I mean, the same sort of expectations of behavior and of chasteness and of holiness and adherence to the biblical doctrine, that's only demanded out of women. You have to save your virtue. I guess the inference is that men have no virtue. So men don't have shit to save because they are not virtuous. Women are supposed to be virtuous. And when you are not virtuous, you have fallen. I'll never forget when T.G. Jakes was kind of at near his height. I know TD Jakes is on the decline for reasons. Maybe he was at Diddy parties doing things. Who knows? Who knows? Who could really say? But I remember when that woman, Thou Art Loosed, came out. And I had a male family member try to push that on me. I guess he thought I was out here. I don't know what the fuck he thought I was out here doing. But regardless, I remember being deeply offended that someone would even insinuate anything to me about being loosed. Okay. Because women are viewed as lesser or as dirty or as, whores, hoes, sluts, if they express themselves sexually. And I don't even, and I mean just by enjoying sex, that makes you a slut, that makes you a hoe. What's your body count? Oh, you hoeing out here. But I assure you, that same body count number does not make a man a comparable hoe, at least not in the eyes of society. And that shit is a mind fuck to me. That shit continues to blow my mind. Because all the advice is for the women about how to remain virtuous. It's never for the dudes. Men are never taught to save themselves for marriage. Men are taught to go out here and sow their royal oats, right? Like Prince Hakeem. Go out there and sow your royal oats. And you're going to find it. But that woman you choose, she better be this, that, and the third. So let me tell you this. Cue up the next clip, Will, because the community of Hampton, Virginia is upset. And there have been a number of protests and people threatening to protest outside of this church. But I have to credit this creator, because sometimes when the social media brubs especially are seeking attention and stunts and whatnot, some of it can be ridiculous. I'm like, oh my God, this y'all just want attention. But I appreciated this one though. I appreciated this one. Will, go ahead and run that from the beginning, my good bruv. Thank you.
You the pastor that denied that lady her baby shower and embarrassed her up here.
You coming in this church, what you want?
I'm asking you a question.
Now, what you want?
I'm asking you, are you the pastor?
What do you want?
I'm asking you, are you the pastor are you the pastor that publicly shamed that young lady?
What do you want?
I'm asking you a question.
What do you want?
Are you the pastor who publicly shamed that lady?
What do you want?
You don't understand English?
What do you want?
Why did you I want to know why you publicly shamed that lady. Don't touch me now. That's assault. We gotta go. All right. He didn't ask me to leave. Don't touch me. He just did, but don't touch me. Because I touched back. He in my way. Come on, man. Come on, man. Come on, man. Excuse me then. Come on, man. Come on. Come on.
He's all right.
Y'all supposed to be of the Lord, though.
Do that. He's all right.
But y'all see it, y'all. This is the church. We'll be having a protest here. We'll be shutting this down. They up here pressing up on me, then touching all up on me.
You checking on us?
I ain't touch you yet.
You ain't gonna touch us.
And you ain't gonna touch me.
I don't wanna touch you.
Oh, I know. Keep it that way.
It's all right. It's all right. It's all right. It's all right.
Good night. Y'all being shamed across the whole country, and y'all church gonna be shut down soon. Just know that. We'll be protesting y'all, boycotting y'all, getting that girl the help that y'all won't get, publicly shaming people. Now it's time for y'all to be publicly shamed. I grew up all my life in the church. It's a shame. This church used to be Calvary Community Church, where they welcome people and they didn't publicly shame people and chastise them for sin. All y'all sinless? None of y'all sin in this whole church? When y'all sinned, everybody had to go to the front like that? When you sinned, you had to go to the front of the church like that? Oh, y'all goons for the Lord now. Goons for the Lord, huh? Okay. Y'all worse than the police now. Y'all getting publicly shamed now. How I feel? Y'all protecting a corrupt pastor, preacher, whatever you call it, on this cult-like mentality. I'm guessing all of y'all is free without sin, and y'all get to cash your first song, huh? It's cool. All right, y'all already know what time it is, y'all. We're going to run it up. Hit that Cash App bill up 757. We're going to make sure we help this lady. We're going to make sure we get this church shut down. We're going to make sure it's boycotted. So we're gonna do things the proper way. This isn't Dr. King's way. This is not the way Dr. King would prefer things. But y'all know what it is. You ain't got a conversation? I'm just here to talk. Okay. All right, y'all.
Okay, Hampton, we see you. We appreciate the effort. Thank you so much. Oh, y'all goons for the Lord now. I'm dead. Y'all goons for God now, huh? Yo, thank you though. See, that is the energy that is needed. And I appreciate that it was a brother that went up and did that. You know what I'm saying? The aunties from across the internet are already declaring that they would be happy to sponsor and throw a baby shower for this young woman and to make sure that she and her unborn child receive the love and support that they obviously deserve, not condemnation, scorn, and humiliation. So I appreciated that it was a brother who showed up and confronted this man, confronted this pastor. Brubs, we need that energy. You feel me? The fuck boys out here, the fuck boys and fuck men's out here need to be confronted with actual men's, with manly men's, and you feel what I'm saying? The good manly, the good masculinity that we need, that only other men respect, right? Women can get up there and say this, that, and the third, can be 100% in the right. But when the message is coming from a woman, and depending on the man that this message is being aimed at, that message may or may not be received, just because men don't respect women. You know what I'm saying? Men only respect other men. So when the message comes from another man, it lands different. It hits different. You know what I'm saying? It's actually taken, perhaps, dare I say, seriously, right? And to the extent that there are actual protests and boycotts of this church, I'm not exactly sure, but simply going to confront the pastor for that bullshit. Pardon me, the bishop for that bullshit. Bishop of what, my nigga? Who made you a bishop? Bishop of who? Nigga, I'm a bishop. You know what I'm saying? I feel like bishops just be making themselves fucking bishops. Nigga, I'm a bishop, Bishop Brown. But I appreciate the bruv going to confront with that energy. You know what I mean? Because that is actually what is needed. Black women and girls need protection out here. Sometimes we need protection from our own. You feel me? Like, all skin folk is not your kinfolk. And because that part, I keep calling him a pastor, a bishop, because Bishop Terry is in a elevated position of authority, of patriarch, as it were, of the church, you know, he's afforded a certain level of status. And what bishops say, you know, bishop is next to God. You know, the Lord talked to the bishop, and bishop said, fuck these hoes. You feel me? But like, so people in the church sometimes afford the head of the church, like they almost deify them. Like they are next to God. They are not next to God. If anything, they are the intermediary. You know what I'm saying? And that don't make them God. That don't make them the authority of what is sin and what isn't. And the hypocrisy of not only the bishop, but that entire congregation. Y'all know, I'm sorry. There's no unwed mothers in there. I doubt it. There's no dudes in there with baby mothers and not wives. I doubt it. But because it's so easy to dunk on single black women, especially single black mothers, like if you want to dunk on a category, single black mothers get it the worst, okay? From across the board. Even when talking about, you know, the behaviors of young people, teenagers, kids these days, well, these kids ain't good. They mothers, they all being raised by their mothers. Accurate. Where are their fathers? Okay, you got all the smoke and all the questions for these single black mothers. My first question is, well, where's the father? We don't have them same questions. Them same questions pertaining to the whereabouts of fathers in the lives of their children. You know, they don't get the same energy. All the criticism, all the critique, all the frowned faces is for the single black mothers. And it starts even before the baby is even born. Wow. So on Facebook, the woman who is this young girl's mother, apparently her name is D. Miles. I can't, because I think the pastor, I keep calling the pastor, Bishop at the beginning of the clip says, Sister Miles wanted to come up here. Okay, so this mother of this pregnant woman put out a statement on Facebook, basically centering herself, saying how her peace is disturbed by all of this attention, and she's going to follow her pastor. She's going to remain a member of the church. But it doesn't appear as though the young woman who's pregnant has a social media presence. So many are inquiring as to whether or not this young pregnant girl is actually okay. Given her mother's willingness to expose her to public humiliation and scrutiny. Again, the clip has gone viral, but this was live streamed as part of the church's regular weekly services, right? So it wasn't like somebody was in the congregation with a cell phone recording this shit. No, the church was streaming this shit to whoever tuned in. And it's unclear as to whether or not the young woman is receiving support, but I know many are trying to find her, locate her, and send her support to make sure that at minimum she does get a baby shower. And this insistence on punishing women and girls for their sexual actions, but the same sort of punishment, or even to even think of punishing a young man or a boy for the same behavior, it doesn't even occur, right? But let me say this overall, but there is that. But this idea of humiliating young people generally, I think is bad. And it's been a part of discipline, especially in some corners of the Black community for a long time. Like sometimes it could range. Parents could send their kids to school in a fucked up outfit or with a fucked up haircut, or at the worst of the worst, the kid get in trouble at school, parents show up and whoop ass at school. Now that's some Gen X shit. Y'all youngins, y'all don't know nothing about that. But I've seen a couple of public parental beatings of some of my classmates whilst I was in school. Now I'm an old lady. I've been out of school a long time. But the shit did go down. You know what I'm saying? But this whole idea that humiliating children of all people is a remedy to behaviors that need correction, I think is bad form. You can shame adults. I'm for shaming so supposedly old enough to know better adults. But I can only imagine the amount of damage, psychological and emotional damage, embarrassment, humiliation, that a teenager or a young adult would experience in such a situation where trusted elders around them, parents, grandparents, godparents, figures at the church, teachers, etc., are willing to just straight up embarrass them. And to what end? And to what? You think this young girl's never gonna have sex again? I mean, it's just a relic of our society that needs to be just done away with altogether, because it's wrong. And especially in the age of internet, where nothing goes away, right? This is going to be a part of this young woman's life for the rest of her life. It's a part of her unborn child's life already. The fact that the adults around her felt as though this was the way to scare her out of sex outside of marriage. What idiots. And what hypocrites. All right, y'all. I'm finished. Going to turn y'all loose. Because chat, thou art loosed. Loose me. I can't go nowhere. I don't know my name. I can't understand that. It seems to hang on. Y'all don't know nothing about that. Y'all, you little young whippersnappers, go Google that Ashford and Simpson. It seems to hang on. Turn that shit all the way up on your Friday night. I want to thank everybody. Did anybody send us any super chats? I kept forgetting to tell y'all can always run us money. via the super chat way. And also don't forget, tomorrow, check the community section of the channel because we will be having the Around the Fire Disability Support Sesh January 2025, stepping into the new year, doing big things. So shout out to Learn Life. Shout out to Anna Hart, Mama Lorraine, Surrey Ferris. Come on through. Shout out to all my illustrious, glorious moderators. What's up, Courtney? What's up, Latif? What's up, Dawn Bird? What's up to my son, Tyler? My nieces, Alicia, Valley Girls. Who else is up in here? I got the Chichimacha. Chichimacha, I ain't your auntie. I might be your auntie. I don't think I am, though. Shout out to my sister, Shirley. Shirley, we miss seeing you around here. Shout out to Louis Kang, one of our OGs, Chuck Diesel, James, KJ Sakuma, Yippa99, YouTube Academic. Who else we got up in the jam? I appreciate you guys all to pieces. Holly Horn, you about to be the 51st state. Aren't you excited? Trump has got the Canadians so furious. You ain't seen Canada this mad. And since the fucking, I'm trying to think who won the fucking Stanley Cup. You ain't seen the Canadians this fucking mad, son. You ain't seen these niggas this mad. These niggas is furious at Trump. Canada. You ain't seen Canadians this upset. I'm with y'all though. Shit. And then stand up, fight back. All right, y'all. Peace. I will see y'all back here on Tuesday. And don't forget, subscribe to the Black Liberation Media Network and tune in Saturdays with Renee at 11 a.m. Eastern, Sundays with the good brother Ed Doctor. Appreciate everyone that came out and checked us out on Classical Breakdown as we celebrated Redman, my baby boo-boo. Thank you so much. And I'll see y'all back here on Tuesday. Love you guys. Shout out to Will and Molly. See y'all later. Bye-bye, y'all. Deuces.